There's this one verse in the Bible that has probably launched 1,000 arguments. But what if the way we've been using it is completely upside down? Today, we're going to unpack 1 Peter 3:15, and you'll see it's way less about winning a fight and a whole lot more about living a life that just makes people ask questions.
All right, so here it is. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. Now, on the surface, that sounds pretty straightforward, right? Be ready to defend what you believe, but hang on to those last few words, with gentleness and respect. That's our first big clue that this isn't about being aggressive. And notice the word hope is right at the center. It's not about having a list of arguments ready. It's about the reason for your hope. That's a completely different ballgame.
So, what is this command really all about? Is it about gearing up for some kind of spiritual debate club? A test to see how many Bible verses you've got memorized? Well, the answer is kind of surprising, and it all comes down to the context. And believe me, it changes everything. Okay, so first things first. We have to ask ourselves, why would someone even ask you about your hope in the first place? The context here is probably not what most of us assume. It's not some friendly chat over coffee or a formal debate stage. You see, Peter, the guy who wrote this, he isn't picturing a scenario where you're trying to win a theological argument. The whole setup is different. The question about your hope doesn't come up because you decided to start a debate. The people Peter was writing to were facing some seriously tough stuff. They were scattered, and they were being persecuted specifically for their faith, for doing good things. So the setting here isn't peace and quiet. It's intense pressure and real pain. And here is the absolute key to the whole thing. When people see you going through suffering without being consumed by fear, when they see you holding on to this solid hope, even when your world is falling apart, that is what makes them curious. Your life literally becomes the question before you even open your mouth. They're going to want to know, what is the reason for the hope I see in you? So if your life is what sparks the question, what kind of answer are you supposed to give? Well, the original language gives us a massive clue. The Greek word used here is apologion. And no, it has nothing to do with apologizing or saying you're sorry. It's actually a legal term. It means to give a reasoned defense, kind of like a lawyer presenting a clear, thought-out case for their client in a court of law. It's about a logical, coherent presentation of your reasons. And yep, you guessed it, this is exactly where we get our modern word apologetics, which is the whole discipline of defending the Christian faith with reason and evidence. So the answer isn't supposed to be just some emotional outburst. It's meant to be thoughtful. It's about showing that your hope isn't just a wishy-washy feeling, but something that's actually grounded in reality. And this difference in approach is so crucial. On one hand, you've got winning an argument. That can be aggressive, it's usually all about proving you're right, and frankly, it just puts people on the defensive. But then you have what Peter's talking about, giving a defense. It's gentle, it's about sharing your personal hope, and it actually invites curiosity instead of shutting the conversation down. Which brings us to the how. Peter is crystal clear that the way you deliver your answer, your attitude, is just as important as the content. I mean, seriously, you can have all the best reasons in the world, but if your tone is wrong, the message is completely lost. So, how do we actually do this? Well, Peter basically gives us a simple 3-part guide. Step 1, get the attitude right, gentleness and respect. Step 2, live a life that actually backs up your words. That's the clear conscience part. And step 3, combine conviction with genuine care. Or as another apostle famously put it, speak the truth in love. And check out what happens when you follow this approach. The very next verse says that this gentle, respectful, well-lived life will actually disarm your critics. So when they try to slander you, your good behavior makes their accusations look totally baseless, maybe even shameful. Your life becomes the primary evidence in your defense. So you might be thinking, okay, that's great, but who is this command actually for? Is it just for the pros, the people with degrees in theology? Peter makes it super clear this is not some special assignment reserved for the experts. It's not just for pastors or professional apologists or theologians. Remember, he didn't write this letter to a seminary. He wrote it to regular, everyday people who were scattered because of persecution. Nope, this is for all Christians. Every single one. Every person who has this hope is called to be prepared to explain it. Why? Because anyone's life can be the very thing that sparks that all-important question. But you have to understand this entire command is built on a foundational idea. It assumes that you have a faith that's so real it actually becomes visible to the people around you.
especially in how you handle tough times. Because if there's no visible hope, nobody's going to ask the question in the first place, right? The answer is never even needed. So this all boils down to one final, really personal question. It's not about being ready to win a debate. It's about being ready to explain the source of your peace right in the middle of a storm. If someone looked at your life and asked you today for the reason for your hope, what would you say? That is the real challenge of 1 Peter 3:15.